Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weekly Oscar Talk. Technically, I believe number 25, but it's number 2 of the new season, the 2023 season. And we've still got a lot to talk about. TIFF, Venice winners, all that fun stuff. And I'm joined by Anthony, as always, to do so.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, let's start off with TIFF. So, TIFF started, I believe, 2 days ago, Friday. Already had some big movies screened that we have not had screened yet. Movies like The Fabelmans, Glass Onion, Causeway. Let's start with the big one, The Fabelmans, which it's Steven Spielberg doing a drama movie. I think we all expected it to get good reviews, and it got pretty universal praise. Can't say I saw a negative review. Some people more mixed on it than others. Some Belfast comparisons. Generally, it doesn't seem like it's as strong as West Side Story, but it seems like everyone seems to have liked it. So with the reviews in particular praising Michelle Williams and Judd Hirsch, who has a small but significant role, it seems. And also the trailer came out today, which also looked very good in my opinion. So yeah, what are your thoughts on all of this, Anthony?
Yeah, I think it's a very expected response, and I think they're probably going to run a very traditional campaign, which works for a movie that seems to be very traditionalist. It seems to be a movie that seems perfect for Oscar, a movie that's celebrating cinema and is a coming of age story with a strong mother in a supporting role. Like it's like it like I feel like it's akin to that sketch that
Belfast.
Winslet did, I think, on Extras, where she's like, well, actually, if you play a role as a nun in a Holocaust, you're almost guaranteed an Oscar nomination. And then look at what happened with her in The Reader. She was parodying herself only 2 years prior or something like that. So this seems very much like Kate Winslet in the Extras type of scenario, where it's like, of course, it's going to get this response, which could be good. I think that, as we've seen with a lot of these films at the festivals, expectation seems to be hurting a lot of these movies and seems to be making a lot of them DOA, which is unfortunate. So as far as Oscar prospects, I still think that this movie is a strong contender in a lot of categories. My question to you is I watched the trailer for this, and I watched the trailer for Empire of Light today for the first time.
Oh wow.
Very similar movies. They
about
seem
movies, loving movies.
They're about movies. They're emotional films. I know that The Fabelmans is autobiographical and is more a coming of age story. Empire of Light, I believe, isn't it going to be like a romance potentially between Olivia Colman and Michael Ford's character? So that's just a strong and emotional bent, and I think that craft wise, when you have people like Sam Mendes and I think in particular Roger Deakins shooting that film, the craft of Empire of Light looks to be better than The Fabelmans. So my question is, do you think there's room for both of these movies, or do you think, similar to, thinking of Sam Mendes, similar to what we saw with 2019 and the 2020 season, where 1917 and Ford v Ferrari kind of were like the same exact categories, so there wasn't really a definitive winner among the two, which I think maybe contributed to why Parasite was able to go through. When its biggest competitor had to fight in every category, I don't know that that's building the Oscar profile that you want it to. So I'm interested. Do you think Fabelmans and Empire of Light can coexist in this Oscar season?
I think Fabelmans definitely is the front runner of the two, especially given the reception. Empire of Light seems very mixed. I believe it's now in the 50s on Metacritic. Fabelmans, I believe, still in the high 80s on Metacritic, praised. And I think Spielberg in general seems to do better at the Oscars than Mendes. But I think there's a world where Empire of Light still gets into picture. I probably have it at like number 9 right now, just because I'm unsure what's going to get those last few spots. And it is the kind of movie, it's Oscar baity, so I think it's the kind of movie that could overcome those mixed reviews, because it just appeals to the Academy. But they are similar, but I think they could both still get in there. I would lean towards Fabelmans being the much stronger movie overall, though.
Yeah, I probably would agree. I think just the package of this movie is of The Fabelmans just is more exciting. I think the fact that it's Steven Spielberg and he's essentially telling the story that he's been like hinting at his entire career, which is telling the story of, you know, essentially his maturation in his childhood and all the things that we've seen elements of in films like E.T. or Jaws or Close Encounters. What I think we should look out for is just consider the fact that this was kind of a surprise premiere. You know, people didn't necessarily know this was going to TIFF until like a couple days before its premiere. So I do wonder if maybe that affected it a little bit, just because, you know, Steven Spielberg movies are going to be exciting whenever you see them. But then the fact that it was a surprise to many people, like within the
Do
week
you
that
mean
they were going to be able to
the
see it,
Fabelmans?
the Fablemans. I
The
wonder if
Fablemans
that
was announced a little bit ago for going to TIFF, I
really,
believe,
I thought it
in
was a
August.
surprise, or maybe they thought that it was going to Cannes and or Venice, and it didn't end up going to Venice. I thought that they released a special poster, like see it at
Oh,
TIFF.
they did release the first poster for TIFF, but it was already announced to have been going before
Okay,
that.
but all right, then I don't know. Maybe there just is a more excitement level because it is a Spielberg movie. Because I feel like the
And
praise
he's
I've seen
there.
has been Michelle Williams
Yeah.
is great, but I don't think anybody's saying it's his best movie. I think many people are saying that it's a little sporadic and it's a little bit like whether it coalesces all of these elements is up for debate.
Mhm.
So that's my question, because especially with somebody like Spielberg, you are going up against your past nominees. You're going up against your past filmography. And I wonder, because there's a similar movie in the category already, potentially with Empire Blight, and the fact that I don't think anybody is going to say this is the best movie, this feels like a step up from like um Bridge of Spies and War Horse. It seems to be
Mhm.
this is a player on par with Lincoln, which means that it will perform well with nominations. People will say it's a front runner, even if it maybe isn't. And I think it will get an acting win. Lincoln got
Yeah.
Daniel Lewis. I think this will get Michelle Williams. I see that type of trajectory for the Fablemans. I don't see Best Picture winner. I'm interested. What do you think about Best
I would
Picture?
agree. I would even say maybe even more so West Side Story, which was a bunch of nominations, but its only win was supporting actress,
Yeah,
which I
which will
think this
be
would be
exciting that he
2 years in a
potentially
row.
in supporting actors 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Um,
He doesn't
but
get a lot of acting wins. I think he's only had 4 acting wins, and they've mostly been like the past decade. So
well,
he's doing better lately.
Daniel Day, Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies and supporting
Mhm.
actor, Ariana DeBose. Um,
There's
I don't
someone
think
else.
nobody else from Schindler's List. I don't think nobody from Saving Private Ryan. I mean, what else would somebody have won for? I'm going back to
Um,
that. I think it might be just those three. I'll do it.
maybe this will be the 4th, is what it is.
That's
Maybe.
potential. That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking
But
out for
yeah,
this one, but I don't think it's as strong as we wanted it to be. I don't think honestly, I think very few movies have come out of the festival circuit with the strength that we want to see, and that I think past films in past years have come out of the festivals with. This has been a very
it's been a weird festival season.
it's been a weird festival season. I think it's interesting, like we were just talking about last week, like the prospects of a Knives Out. Knives Out fared maybe better, but I wonder if
Pretty
that's
good.
people reassessing going into the theater, like that just wanting to have fun with that one, where maybe they there isn't as much,
Expectations aren't as high.
there isn't as much of a desire to critique that one, where you know these other movies. Yeah, I do think the lack of pretension in Glass Onion maybe is
Mhm.
helpful. So I feel like a lot of these other movies feel like they should have For Your Consideration slapped on the poster
Yeah.
already, and Knives Out, Glass Onion doesn't have that, which maybe is why it fared better, at least in the responses that I've seen. I think Women Talking is probably the best to
Mhm.
come out of the festival circuit, as far as a traditional type of festival run, and then also Tar, I would say, is
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, those two definitely have gotten the best reviews. I believe both still in the 90s on Metacritic, so good for both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of Fablemans, I mean, I know there's never really, even though I've lots of people have it at #1 for picture, but I think it's kind of just been like the placeholder, because it's like I think now people are picking actual stuff that could potentially win, like Women Talking. But the Fablemans just feels like, the front runner that's like at the way beginning of the season. It's like it looks like it's the perfect package to get into picture and maybe win. But as the actual movies and season develop, it isn't as strong. It's just the movies that have been winning. I think we mentioned this last week lately are movies from directors whose past films have not been honored and given Best Picture. So that this year is mostly women talking, Everything Everywhere All at Once, one of those two, maybe one of the others. But Spielberg, I think the best chance he has at winning here is for original screenplay, probably.
I mean, the question that we have to see is whether women talking will make people feel a certain way, because you need that emotion. That's what the Fabelmans has going for it above everything else, is that it will make people feel.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think you should count it out. But I also think that there's something to be said about seeing the strings being pulled that I think people are seeing with the Fabelmans. They're aware of the heartstrings that Spielberg is employing to make the movie work. And I think what also is hurting it is that if people are talking about how he plays the strings, then you've lost the emotional argument, because like nobody was talking about that with Coda. They were talking about how they were so moved by Troy Kotsur and the scene on the back of the truck, or the audition scene. They weren't talking about, Sean Heater and what she did to make you care about that scene. It was just the scene was moving. So I do wonder if that hurts the Fabelmans, is that people feel like it's trying to do something instead of just doing it.
I feel like that's inherent just in the concept too. People are going to be thinking about that more just because it is kind of like a blend between reality and real life. It's Spielberg reflecting on his own childhood. So I think they're more inclined to do that. But yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to see about women talking, is because I do think it's a strong contender, but it will have to overcome what I perceive to be potentially an issue, is that it's akin to The Power of the Dog, where it's such a well-crafted film and definitely has a strong pathos undercurrent, but it's whether people want to keep revisiting it. You got to keep putting in that screener, or clicking on that screener over and over and over again for you to win this type of thing. Nobody wins Best Picture because you watched it once, you thought it was great, but then don't watch it again. And so I worry that women talking could be that. We'll have to see.
Did Schindler's List win Best Picture?
Schindler's List, but that's I think a completely different Best Picture win. And I also think there was he's due. It's like he also had Jurassic Park the same year. So that was the year to honor Spielberg. So I think Schindler's List is different. And I do think that there might have been people who felt very moved by the story. I mean, people still watch Schindler's List to this day. The fact that we haven't stopped.
It's just not super rewatchable.
It's not super rewatchable, but I think it's still being watched. I think, and again, we're in a completely different space now. Because you get those movies like 12 Years a Slave, where it's like, you're not going to keep watching that movie over again. It's just it leaves such an impact on you in first watch that you don't need to keep watching it. So maybe Women Talking has that going for it. But I think if you don't have that type of wallop on the first watch, then you've got to be something that you can keep watching. And that's what I'm trying to look for. It's why I'm still confident in Black Panther more than other people, because that will be rewatchable. It will make you feel. We've already seen it's Oscar-winning craft returning, and it looks better than the first. So that's why I'm still confident in that, because I still think when looking at these contenders, it's the only one that checks all the boxes that we look for in past winners. And the only thing that I think are making people hesitant is all the extra stuff. It's the fact that it is a Marvel movie. It's a superhero movie. It's all the questionable stuff. But the stuff that it has is just in line with the stuff from the past. So it's definitely an interesting season.
I do think Women Talking also, what surprised me with the reactions from that, were lots of people were calling it a funny movie, which I didn't expect, that they laughed a lot during it. So I do think, and it just seems from the reactions that it does have that wallop, at least at the end. So I do think that's, at least in my opinion, the strongest one for picture right now. And then quickly, just on the Fabelmans, I didn't see any mention of Paul Dano in any of the reactions. But I did see a lot of mention of Judd Hirsch, who has like a 10-minute scene, like a small role, but apparently it's like a very important and like impactful part. So I do wonder, I only think one of the Fabelmans guys is probably getting in there. I wonder if maybe it's not Dano.
You are so right, because nobody's talking about Dano, at least in the responses I saw. I'm sure somebody will be like, here's a tweet. Yeah. We didn't see any. And we tend
a lot of them.
We tend to Twitter pretty often. And so I wonder now if maybe we assume that Paul Dano is going to get nominated, and then Judd Hirsch gets in a Katrina Balfe, Judi Dench move that we just saw them do with a very similar movie last year.
Yeah. I mean, he does probably seem like the Kieran Hines kind of character, like the grandfather with a smaller role. And I did have him in my last predictions video because I saw a report saying that his his scene was very impactful. So that's looking good right now. And then Williams, I mean, I think she's the clear front runner. I mean, she had just had moments within the trailer where she was like screaming, "I'm your mother." Just plenty of Oscar clips already. So
it feels very much like a Julianne Moore situation where it's like this might not be your best role, but you're definitely acting it up, and you deserve one at this point, and this is a good performance. So let's just give it to her, because I think like one of her bigger competitors is not here anymore, which was the actress from
Lily Gladstone.
Yeah, Lily Gladstone. And then I think that the women talking people, I think, will cancel each other out in a way that favorite actresses did. I see a similar, which is another thing why I'm a little worried with women talking, because I think that movie maybe fits in with the favorite, you know, has a slight comedic bent to it, but is very focused on women's stories. And we saw that movie get 10 nominations, led the field along with Roma, but then ended up getting only one win for Olivia Colman. I worry that could also be for women talking, and I'm only saying that just because I don't want to assume that it's the front runner, because I feel like if we already give women talking that, then people are going to land it, or it's just going to lose momentum. So I'm kind of like hopefully hedging my bet with women talking in a hope that we're not already convinced. That way, it hopefully has a chance. How many 6 months down the line?
Yeah, you don't want to be labeled the front runner this early on. That's usually a death knell in terms of winning, unless you're like a Nomadland, which does continue out.
That was 2020 was an odd year, but you know what would never be considered the front runner, and why I have high hopes for it?
Black Panther.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, it's much better to be the underdog.
When are the Oscars this year? Are they beginning of March?
Middle March, I'm pretty sure. Middle March. Earlier, I think like a week or two earlier than last
Sunday,
year.
March 12th.
Okay. March 12th. Yeah, it's better. They're moving back towards late February, which I think is prime Oscars time. But yeah, that's the Fabelmans at TIFF. So yeah, another movie that we were mentioning that just screened at TIFF, Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel. Netflix, probably their biggest contender now, oddly enough. I mean, it's gotten the best reviews out of all their movies that hit the festivals. I mean, probably looks like their biggest contender. I mean, the only other movie I would think about is All Quiet on the Western Front, which is the remake of that classic movie, foreign language film. No reviews for that yet, so maybe that's a big contender, but I don't know. Right now, it's looking like this. I still don't think it gets into picture, though. I still just think it's probably a screenplay play.
I think a screenplay, a potential acting nominee. I saw some word about Janelle Monáe.
Yeah. That category is packed, though.
I would say Daniel Craig potentially, because I think a lot of people are really loving him in this role, and I think
actor is empty.
But an actor is empty, so you know, maybe look for him there. We could
him and Tom Cruise fighting it out.
All right, so let's
sequel roles.
Let's talk about this, because I think this is really interesting that we kept saying no, it's not going to happen. Like back when we did our Top Gun preview type of Oscar breakdown when it came out, we mentioned it, you know, that we can't not. But now that actor is like a barren wasteland, what do you think? Do you think that Tom Cruise could get in for Best Actor?
Right now, no. I would have to see, like, I mean, right now I would have Austin Butler still my number one. Honestly, Colin Farrell is now my number two, because I think we'll get to it later, but he just won at Venice, and his movie is definitely going to be in picture. Then Brendan Fraser. Then I would have Hugh Jackman. And that fifth spot is where it's open. I would maybe lean Bill Nighy right now for Living, but that movie's not like very well seen. But I don't know. I just don't know if there's like, if that's like the aspect of the movie that people will think about when they're honoring it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, because Top Gun is such an anomaly, even among the blockbuster ilk that gets nominated for Best Picture. So, and you know, we always say that we don't think they consider, like, they're not thinking, oh, he's a producer on the movie, so he'll get his nomination there. So like, they don't think that way. I am interested, because I think that we're seeing a lot of movies, like, where is our Ford v Ferrari? Where's the more masculine bent of the Academy that made 2019 season 11 nominations for Joker, 10 nominations for 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and The Irishman, and then like 4 nominations for Ford v Ferrari. Where are that where is that bent going to get their support in? Because we have a lot of small films in this category, save for something like an Elvis. And
Elvis. That's where
we'll
they could
see,
do
but
it.
I also, I still think the jury's out on whether that movie can transition still. I think it's stronger than I anticipated when it was released, but I still think it could pull a Taron Egerton and drop out at the last moment.
Not an actor though. I feel like
Potentially, I like listen, we've seen
that's a
people
weak
miss.
field.
We've seen people, well, we saw people like Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers miss out after everybody was saying
I
we've
still
seen
think he's stronger than her.
it's potential. You like the movie more than I do too, we should
I would.
say.
I thought the movie was fine. I don't understand why so many people are underestimating the movie overall. I just think I think it's going to perform well. I'm pretty
I just
confident
think
in that.
it's a very particular film. It's not your traditional biopic, and we saw with
It's
Rocket
very
Man.
Lerman.
Yeah, we saw with Rocket Man compared to Bohemian Rhapsody that when the movie is more, even if it's more realistic and more truthful and authentic to the subject itself, and it catches their style, if it goes too much in one direction, it doesn't have one direction. Haha. Speaking of
When's
him,
that biopic coming?
it doesn't necessarily have cross appeal, and I worry about, again, I talked about it previously. I don't know how that movie plays on a screener. I don't know if people are going to want to remember, especially because the question is whether Elvis is able to be an all-around player. If it's able to get into like the subcategories, then I think he has a chance because he'll go along with it. But do you really think that Austin Butler, who nobody knew really before this movie, is he able to stand alone? Especially if they're not going to know his name, they might just say, "Oh, the guy from
Well, I
Elvis."
think
I
I
still
think they
worry.
know his name now. I think it's like they knew his name. They heard his name when it initially came out, and I think they'll keep hearing his name within the industry and just in the ether overall until March of next year. So I think they'll be more familiar with him. But
Um,
he's not an overdue actor in any way.
no, yeah, I just we'll see. Um, I'm not reading Matt, and he might be in my top five as of now. But I don't think it's a surefire bet. I definitely don't think he's winning. As of yet, I think there's a stronger arc for Brendan Fraser, though we have to see whether
Yes.
the problem. I do think it's not an issue I necessarily have, but I also haven't seen the movie. If there is an issue with the weight and the fats, the prosthetics that he wears, if that might take him down, that's potential. But I could also see a bunch of people doing a green book and saying, stop it with this controversy and support him because they want to support the actor amid these problems. Hugh Jackman, I never really saw as a front runner, so I think he's in.
Not
I think
anymore.
the Sun's more mixed response means it's going to be very hard for him to win. And then I also think you talked about, I mean, then we can get back to Glass Onion, Netflix's chances. White Noise has 91% of Rotten Tomatoes. I think that might be the one they inevitably end up pushing, and maybe they learn from 2019, always bet on Baumbach. Like, I think
Yeah.
that Marriage Story could have been a much bigger hit if Netflix realized The Irishman was not their big movie. Marriage Story was. I think they could have gotten like Scarlett Johansson a win. Adam Driver, I think, was very close with Joaquin Phoenix,
I
but
think he was closer, yeah.
but I think they could have gotten a screenplay win. I think they could have gotten Scarlett Johansson if they had really put all their chips behind Baumbach. And so with a Rotten Tomato score in the 90s, I think we could see them position White Noise as their big contender, because I don't think it's Glass Onion. I think Glass Onion is a fun movie. I don't think it'll translate into Oscar. Because I can't imagine, has a sequel ever gotten nominated when the original movie didn't? Besides Top Gun in the next couple of months?
Yeah, besides Top Gun. Not that I can think of. I mean, technically Toy Story 3, but that's only because there was like an extra 5 spots, I guess.
Yeah, Toy Story 3 would, I think, be the only one.
Yeah. That's really all,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah. So anyway, so I think White Noise might inevitably be there.
Possible.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see how it plays at the New York Film Festival.
Yeah. I think it could really, if it hits there, I think then it's clear. And I mean, listen, you have Adam Driver, Greta Gerwig, Don Cheadle, Noah Baumbach, produced by David Heyman, who produced Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Marriage Story, Gravity, the Harry Potter films, and Paddington. He's a very accomplished producer. that looks to me, and it's based on a book, so that looks
The
at
book is well
one,
renowned too.
yeah. So I think that as like adapted screenplay,
It's
best
open.
actor for Adam Driver, I could see him getting in there. I do think that he's now becoming somebody who they just nominate very often.
They
We saw,
respect him. Yeah.
yeah, they respect him, of course. Um, and we'll see. As far as Netflix goes, I agree. I think Bardo is going to be a tough sell. I think Bardo is
I
floating
don't
more in
know.
the blonde camp than it is the
Oh,
Oscar
yeah.
camp.
We'll get to blonde. Yeah. 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 I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be Glass Onion. I think White Noise is possible, and I do think Bardo is still possible, but I'm losing a little faith in it. But yeah, we'll see. Another movie that premiered at TIFF, The Woman King, got surprisingly very good reviews. Some people calling it like today's Gladiator, which is high praise, considering that movie won Best Picture. But yeah, very good reviews praising it. And Viola Davis in particular, obviously. I haven't had this in picture. It releases in a few weeks, so September is not a prime Oscar release date. But Sony, who also had The Sun, is behind this movie. So this is Sony proper. The Sun is Sony Pictures Classics. So a little different. But I do wonder if they're going to push this movie now for picture.
Anything's possible. Could run a Moulin Rouge campaign where they weren't intending to, and then because of the success it gets, they then run one.
Do
It
you think
has
it
to play
could
well
get
at the
in?
box office. I think that the box office will make or break this movie. I think similarly to another Viola Davis contender from the past, Widows. I think the Widows underperforming at the box office meant that people were not going to take it seriously. Because when you're a popcorn, when you're looked at as a popcorn, you need that support to take you seriously. I think that's why something
Mm-hmm.
like, A Star Is Born is at the time before, it got La La Land. La La Land did. It happens in
Mm-hmm.
musicals a lot.
It's a verb.
Being a big box office hit meant, oh, I need to pay attention to this. So Woman King would need that, I think, to be a contender here. Because I also
Yeah,
think as
probably.
far as supporting diverse potential nominees, you're not going to be hard pressed to find other places to do that. As I've been saying, I think Till is a strong contender based on that trailer and based on what the movie will be about. So it's just a question of whether this is too popcorn, and then if it is, does it perform well at the box office?
Yeah, doesn't seem too popcorn to me. It seems like it'll be pretty serious. And I think, oh, sorry, and I think it'll get below the line nominations more so than some of the other movies. So I do think they could very much push this for picture. And I do think there's a world where it does get in there. But I think we'll have to see how it plays out at the box office and just in general. Because there's also some controversy surrounding it about its accuracy, and how
There's
this,
controversy surrounding every movie.
yeah, this group of women warriors also like participated in slave trade, and apparently the movie may not show that. So who knows? Every movie will have controversy. But yeah, we shall see with that one. I would definitely bumped it up higher in my honorable mentions in Best Picture and considered putting it in there. Yeah, but next up, Causeway also premiered at TIFF, A24/Apple movie with Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry about a veteran coming back.
Wasn't this like red water and wine? Wasn't
Red,
that the
white,
word?
red,
Red,
white,
white, and
and water.
water?
Red,
Something.
white, and water.
I was like,
It's
it
now
had a
Causeway.
different title during production.
It did. It's one of those movies like Next School Wins that we've been talking about like the past two award seasons.
Right.
But the reviews for it were pretty good reviews, and especially high praise for Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry. I think the main push would be Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh yeah.
Actress is crowded, so I don't know how possible that is, but people do say she's very good in it. It has been a while since we've really like seen her. I think the last movie was we saw Don't Look Up, but before that I guess was Dark Phoenix maybe,
Yeah.
which has been a while. So I think
She
it's
hasn't been
possible.
in this type of role since Joy in 2015,
Yeah,
which was her last Oscar
more
nomination.
drama movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I listen, I'm the hugest, is that a word?
it is
Am I
now.
huge? Okay. I love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's
She's
incredible.
awesome.
She deserves an award for her Vogue interview she did on that
Her
mini golf.
favorite movie is Hereditary of the last 5 years.
Yeah,
She's
I know
just
you're
got
right.
good taste. Yeah.
Um, but she's so wonderful. And I think in a time when we are kind of over the celebrity, I feel like people are getting tired of the celebrity. She's
Yeah,
very down to earth in a way that made her very appealing when she started her career and when she got Hunger Games. But I do think that people have missed her authenticity and her integrity on screen. I think Don't Look Up benefited from it in the only ways it could. That for me, that was the only redeeming part of that movie, was her performance. And yeah, I think that Apple knows how to play this game. We saw that with Coda.
yeah,
And I think what they're also smart at is knowing what to prioritize. With the tragedy of Macbeth, they knew what they had, and they were like, okay, our best shot is Denzel nomination. They weren't pushing Francis. They weren't trying to make everybody happy. They pushed what they knew they could get, and they got it. They got a Denzel nomination.
and
Um,
cinematography.
and cinematography, yes, of course. So I think they could run a very smart campaign and say, support Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what's your current best actress
Oh my
list?
God, that's one of the hardest categories.
Sorry
God,
to open Pandora's box.
both the actress categories are crazy, and then like the actor categories, it's like free. Can we just like take some of those spots and like give them
Which
to
is
the
nice
actresses
to
this year?
know. You
Yeah.
know, usually
Right
it's the other
now,
way around.
yeah, yeah. Right now, I have the typical five still, which is I have Blanchett at one now just because her views are insane. Then Yo, Robbie, Coleman for Empire of Light still, and Naomi Aki for I Want to Dance with Somebody. But I'm very heavily considering Ana de Armas and Jennifer Lawrence because Apple has nothing to push this season because they don't have Killers of the Flower Moon anymore. So they could very much push for Jennifer Lawrence, and Netflix doesn't have much acting to push this season, so they could push for de Armas.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm down. I want to. Is there a trailer for Causeway?
I
Can we?
don't think so.
I don't
There's
think so.
stills, but no trailer.
I want to see a trailer before I put Jennifer Lawrence in my five because it's a very strong five for me. I have Michelle Yeoh, Kate Blanchett, Margot Robbie, all in my opinion battling for number one. I would tie them at the first spot. It's
Yeah,
really close.
it's yeah.
And as I said, I think it's a very similar season to 2020 and those three actresses of Mulligan, McDormand, and Davis in terms of the three of them and how they fall into those categories. Then
Mm-hmm.
I would go Danielle Deadweiler and then Olivia Colman. I think that would be my top five. But and then Emma Thompson. Um,
I mean, she
Jennifer
does have a movie.
Lawrence. She does have a movie. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the variety list to make sure I'm not
Oh,
anybody.
yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence then would probably be my six because I do think again Apple knows how to run a smart campaign.
they do.
She's getting the bulk of the support, and she's the type of actor who can stand on her own with the movie if the movie doesn't
Yeah,
come elsewhere.
totally.
Um, yeah, I don't think she said is going to materialize.
Who even knows
I don't.
whether if who's supporting and who's leading that also.
Yeah. And then because we're talking about actress, so the question I have for you while we're on the topic of actress is, do you think that the press of Don't Worry, Darling
Oh
could
God.
positively affect Florence Pugh, either in Don't Worry, Darling or her
Or
other
in
contender,
The
The One?
Wonder. Yeah. If she's gonna get nominated for one, she'll be nominated for The Wonder. I don't think the Academy is touching Don't Worry, Darling with a 10-foot pole. I don't think they're going near that. It also just doesn't seem, I mean, some of the tech stuff might be worthy, but it doesn't seem like the kind of movie that they would generally go for. Um,
Everything you just said, I think I did say and could be said about Don't Look Up. It's not the movie they would touch. It's
it's
very,
got Adam McKay. They like Adam
true.
McKay.
That's true, and
They
that's what
denied
that movie.
Olivia Wilde on her first
This
movie.
is a question. Do you think Don't Look Up would have done what it did if Adam McKay wasn't directing?
It might have still gotten like screenplay.
Do you think it would have just performed at the same level if like some other
Maybe.
director?
Actually, I don't know. Maybe not. If it was another name director, maybe that they liked. But if it was like some new guy or
Yeah.
girl, probably not, to be honest.
I'm
Because it
just
was rotten.
I'm just saying, I think it's, Warner Brothers, this is going to be their only play except for Elvis.
Elvis.
Um,
They're not pushing Don't Worry,
maybe, I
Darling.
don't know. Listen, they talked about the
No.
fact that when they were talking about like things that they're gonna campaign for and like put money behind, like I feel like I don't know. There seems to be some weird thing that nobody's talking about Elvis. Like I don't see any conversation. Maybe it's because everybody's so wrapped up in the fall circuits, and maybe when the fall circuits die down, we'll be like, oh well, Elvis is still here. Let's do it. I don't know. Well, I have to see that type of enthusiasm. Like you look at other pre-fall festival contenders, people weren't shutting up about Get Out. People weren't shutting up about, a lot of these other movies. Black Panther won, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like it got every time we talked about Oscar that season, it was always what is joining Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I don't see that with Elvis, and that's what makes me worried that they'll just forget it.
Maybe, but I don't think so. But what was it? Oh, Don't Worry, Darling. Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
I also don't think so with that. I think, like I said, if she's going to get one, I think it would be The Wonder. And I do think her handling, I think most people have probably heard of the situation. I think um, her involvement and her handling of the situation is a plus for her. I do think that may get her like some extra respect. But
Yeah.
I still don't think, especially like if actress was like actor this year, maybe, but actress is
Yeah,
packed, and I
that's true.
don't see it happening.
And can we just,
Um,
for the record, I think it needs to be said, no matter what Shia LaBeouf did, if he quit or he fired, it has
oh
nothing to do with Florence Pugh. Florence
yeah,
Pugh should be able to feel safe on her set. And if she wasn't comfortable, then that's all that matters. Like I saw people saying like, oh, because now it's revealed that, there was something going wrong with Shia LaBeouf and Olivia Wilde maybe was not entirely the villain in this situation. It doesn't change something that Florence Pugh was uncomfortable on this set, and that was the issue. That's this issue. The Shia thing is a separate thing. I feel
yeah.
like because this is going to keep growing, especially now that we're getting closer to the movie's release.
Hmm.
Just to put it out there, I feel like
Yeah. Team Florence Pugh.
yeah.
Yes. So last TIFF movie that we can quickly talk about. Bros got great reviews, starring Billy Eichner. One of I think the probably biggest gay rom-com movie that has come from the studio system ever.
Oh, it is the
Um,
first. It is the first
yeah,
gay
the
rom
first
com
rom-com.
from
Yeah,
a major studio.
yeah, and it's gotten very good reviews. Pretty much everyone likes it. Some saying it's like one of the best comedies of the past decade, which is high praise.
Thank God. It would have been so disappointing and unfortunate if this movie wasn't good.
I know it would have been that's would have had impact for like the entire like representation in the industry too. I mean, that would have been an issue. But so I'm glad it's good. I'm wondering, do you think this is a Globes play? Like, do you think Billy Eichner
I
comedy,
think
maybe
this is a
comedy?
Bridesmaids play. I think it could get an original
Well, that's
screenplay
like
nomination.
Oscars.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's
Oh
potential.
wow.
I think it could play Bridesmaids. I think if people are saying it's one of the best comedies of recent memory, and I think what Bridesmaids did is what this movie is doing for women. Bridesmaids, I think, allowed women to be to be free comedically and have fun while also acknowledging their specific issues in a way that felt relevant, but also just so infectiously fun that this movie seems to be doing that for the LGBTQ culture. So yeah, why not? It can get if Bridesmaids could get 2 nominations for supporting actress and um, original screenplay. Why not Bros? Wouldn't it be great if in the wake of such an empty Best Actor field, Billy
Billy Eichner.
Eichner gets in there for
That would
Best
be a
Actor?
nice surprise. That would be a nice surprise. The reviews aren't really mentioning the acting that much. It seems like Billy Eichner is kind of playing himself, but that's not an issue. Seems like it's a very good movie.
I
I do
could
think he'll get
see Billy
comedy
Eichner
actor at the
winning.
Globes.
Exactly. I could see
Yeah,
him winning Best Comedy, Best
I don't know
Actor
if
in
he'll
New
win.
Comedy. Well, who else you got? Who else is going to be
I
in
mean,
that
maybe
category?
Austin Butler. I mean, musical comedy. I don't know if
Yeah,
that
but
would be
we
drama.
saw with like a lot of like A Star Is Born went drama, Bohemian Rhapsody
Yeah,
went drama. I don't know if it wants to go, and it's also I feel like
yeah,
it's less musical than those movies were, in my opinion.
hmm
Like I feel like Bohemian
yeah.
Rhapsody was more musical than Elvis, and that again being my issue is that it feels like it was a dramatization of the Wikipedia profile of Elvis and not Elvis himself.
And then I
Uh,
would also say Colin Farrell, Banshees of Inisherin. I would
that a
think that they'd
comedy?
put that. I think they'd put that in comedy. Seems like from the reviews, like it's a more comedic movie.
We shall see. But
Yeah,
yeah,
who knows?
I
Maybe
don't.
Daniel Craig for Glass Onion.
I could see that happening because he did get nominated for the first one. So yeah, I just don't count out Bros. I think that was the most we were talking about Glass Onion. I take it back, or at least I add this onto it. This was the most praise I saw for a movie out of the festival circuit, which is kind of fun.
That's kind of a lot of praise. Yeah. So I do think, who knows, maybe like Big Sick, it could rom-com that gets into screenplay should have gone in for supporting actress. Yeah. So that's everything that happened at TIFF so far. My Policeman premiered earlier today, but that's not an Oscar contender, I'm afraid. Sorry to the Harry Styles stands, but no. Yeah, so that's everything at TIFF. The Venice Film Festival finished, I believe yesterday is when it finished up. Long festival, lots of stuff happened there. Before we get to the winners of the overall festival, let's talk about some of the stuff that happened in the last few days that we didn't get to cover last week. First off, we already mentioned it a little bit. The Sun got very, very mixed reviews. Would
you categorize it as very, very mixed or mixed to positive?
I'd say mixed, like just like straight mixed. I believe it's like 60 on Metacritic. Maybe slightly positive. Maybe it's leaning slightly positive, but it seems very mixed in general. I don't know how it'll appeal to the Academy. It doesn't seem like the kind of movie. This seems like the kind of movie where it needs very good reviews to end up in picture, like a more like drama, kind of depressing kind of movie, like Empire of Light, which is like complete Oscar bait because it's like a romance about loving movies, but got mixed reviews. I could see that still getting in because it's more Oscar baity and appeals to them more. But this kind of movie, I think you need great reviews to get into picture. So now,
and I think you need critic support. I think Anthony Hopkins was bolstered by a lot of critic groups supporting him.
Him winning,
and winning. So that's I definitely it was one of the biggest ones hit in terms of prospects.
It's out of picture, I would say. Out.
Oh, really?
You still have it in picture? I think it's out.
I haven't really thought about it because I'm still waiting for everything to die down. I think I'll do updated picture like
after TIFF.
After TIFF, I think maybe like whenever we end up doing it for the weekly Oscar talk, which will probably be in a couple of weeks. Because we'll see, after something like after last year, where I honestly, like for the first time, thought that like not only was there one rotten, but there were several rotten movies to use the Rotten Tomatoes scale in Best Picture. Anything's possible when it comes to certain movies over other movies getting in ultimately.
Yeah, 2018/2019 is definitely the most rotten lineup in my opinion. That lineup just scares me to this day.
The lineup was good. It was lacking First Man, but I think the lineup was fine.
Vice,
for the majority, it was just
Bohemian
the ones that ended
Rhapsody.
up winning were the ones that shouldn't have won. And I just don't mean Black Panther. Black Panther deserved to win its 3. I think it maybe deserved to win more than its 3, especially given what also won 3 and what won 4 that night, which was Green Book and Rhapsody. So yes,
that year is very disappointing.
The Roma and Black Panther were the ones that were good, and then Green Book.
They didn't win much, but
they both won 3, which they tied
the big
those
ones.
3 movies. Roma, Green Book, and Black Panther tied for the second most that night. Bohemian Rhapsody getting 4. Thank God it didn't win its 5th nominee, or it would have won Best Picture.
Oh yeah, God.
But also, what's worse, Bohemian Rhapsody winning Best Picture or Green Book winning Best Picture?
Honestly, Bohemian Rhapsody. I'll take Green Book over Bohemian Rhapsody. But yeah, that ceremony and just year in general, we can set as the floor expectation for the Oscars. So this year, at least, I think we can hope to be better than that. But yeah, right now for The Sun, I've just got Jackman and adapted screenplay and maybe one of the supporting actresses. But I
know that you're going to say because Best Actor is so open that you think Jackman has a stronger chance. I think if any actor is getting in there, it's Laura Dern. I don't think
really.
I think Laura Dern is the stronger contender in any movie, definitely over Jackman.
I saw more praise for Kirby than I saw for Dern, though.
Which that would then maybe cancel Jackman. I agree with you. I think The Sun is either all in or it's not. I don't think it's one of these movies.
See, I think actor is so weak that I think Jackman can still get in there because some are saying it's his best work. And I think it will be a scene movie. I think they may still push for Jackman, but I'd say Jackman adapted screenplay just because that's also a very barren field.
The question is too is how much can he campaign? Because if he's still doing The Music Man in New York,
does he need to campaign?
He needs to campaign a little bit. He's not Frances McDormand, and she's the only one who can do it. I think she's the only one that can do it, and Meryl Streep. Because
I think Olivia Colman could get away with it too. She doesn't campaign much.
She doesn't campaign, but I don't think she has the desire to win. I think she's just like, it's an honor to be nominated.
I think they like that in their nominees, a desire to not win.
I agree, but
they don't want you to seem desperate.
But I don't think Hugh Jackman is the type of person who, if he doesn't run a campaign, he will win. And I think he's also the one person he wants to shake all the hands and kiss all the babies. So the question is, will he have the opportunity to do so? And then if he does, how much does that sway the needle if people are already mixed on the sun? Because let's be honest, if people are mixed on the sun, he's the center of the movie. It's going to be pretty hard to extradite him in a way that I think many people did with Joaquin Phoenix and Joker, for those who did not like the movie, unlike myself.
Yeah.
I think you were able to separate Joaquin from...
Joaquin was really good. Joaquin, the score, the cinematography, those were all good. The rest of it, not so much.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think people are going to do that with The Sun, because I don't think it has as many cinematic techniques to do that, because it's based on a play.
Yeah, I do think Hugh Jackman is snubbable. I think there's a world where he doesn't get nominated, but right now, just because actor is like very barren, I have him getting in still. But yeah, that's The Sun. Another movie with mixed reviews at Venice that we didn't get to talk about, Blonde. Longest standing ovation at Venice, for whatever that means, whatever this timed ovations mean.
I'm not gonna curse.
14 minutes, beating Banshees of Inisherin by 1 whole minute. They have a whole scale there. I believe the film with the least, the shortest standing ovation was Don't Worry, Darling. Probably because Florence Pugh left in the middle of it. But Blonde, very mixed reviews. But everyone, even the people who didn't like the movie, praising Ana de Armas and her performance. It seems like it comes out soon, like very soon. Like it's going to be a very controversial movie in terms of its depiction of Marilyn Monroe and her life and the stuff that happens to her.
Her life.
Her life. It's based on a book, which was also controversial. I saw someone say that she spent a lot of the second half of the movie like topless, which is a choice. But yeah, I have no clue how I'm going to feel about this movie. Seems like Venice liked it initially, but then it didn't win anything. What do you think?
The fact that you don't know how you're going to feel about this movie, I feel like that is going to be the feeling. That is going to be the sentiment. People are not going to know what to make of this movie, and they're just going to push to the side where they don't have to worry. Because I think it is I think more than anything else that we've seen in the Pam and Tommy type genre, seeing a movie that's going to, on paper, be all about Marilyn Monroe and how she was abused by this industry, be sexually perverted in a way that is completely unnecessary. I am all for art being expressive in the way that it wants to be, but I think there is something incredibly disingenuous when you're taking somebody like this, when we inevitably get the Britney Spears biopic. I just don't get why people think the correct thing to do is to tell these stories in this way. It's not, you're just, continuing the trend that was done to them when they were alive. So I think a lot of people are going to have issue with that. I think a lot of people are going to have issue with the sex and just the fact that they're uncomfortable with it being depicted in this way. It's a heavy capital A art movie. Also, it's going to be on Netflix. How many people will make it to the end of the movie? It's long. Yeah, this is not an Oscar contender, and Netflix knew about it. I think Netflix is trying to save face.
I think maybe there's a world where Darmas can still get in.
I don't, because it's not like we haven't seen this before. Michelle Williams a decade ago was nominated for Best Actress for My Week.
She got nominated, but
that was a very safe movie.
They like when you play these people, and it's Marilyn Monroe is like peak of like famous people you can play. So I think it's possible.
There are so many famous people, though. We have Daniel Deadwyler and Till, which I think is a very strong competitor.
Yes. That's not like playing a famous person, though, in my opinion. That's like based on a real life person, but I don't think
Yeah,
that's like playing a
true,
famous
but she's
person.
playing a historical figure. So but yes, I
Yeah,
agree. I think that could help her because then she's not being compared to her real life counterpart.
yeah.
Uh, you have Naomi Aki, who you're more confident in
I
than I
think,
am.
yeah, it's Anthony
Uh,
McCartan. He's gotten four.
yeah,
Yeah,
I know, but we'll see.
we shall.
Um, we had a lot, and Best Actress is stacked. I mean, let's put it this way: do you agree in the top three being, even if they're not your maybe necessarily top three, but Yo, Blanchett, and Robbie, I think are locks. They are in. So if
Joan Blanchett, yes.
you don't think Robbie,
Robbie, I have to. I mean, these movies, I would have said other stuff was locks before this festival season, but who knows? I mean, it's going to be his longest movie, his most like adult and mature movie. Apparently, the script which people have read was like it was very close
oh,
to an
another movie all
NC-17
about
rating.
Hollywood and the film industry. Put that
Yeah.
into our conversation about Empire of Light, and you get what you get now. Why I'm
Can you
not.
get three of them? Yeah.
That's why I'm. It's. I think you'll get three nominated. It's why I don't think any of them are winning.
Oh no, no, they're all from directors whose films have previously won Best Picture. So that
It's
initially
the same exact campaign. It's just different dials of how intense is the movie, how
mature.
schmaltzy is the movie.
What decade is
Um,
it in? But yeah,
yeah,
I would have to see how the reception is to that. I think she's very likely going to get nominated. I don't think she's really win competitive. Um, but I have to see how the movie's received just because I mean I think there's a world where it comes out, it doesn't do well at the box office because I mean it cost nearly $100 million to make, and it gets mixed reception. And then I mean it's kind of like maybe she gets in, maybe
well,
not.
this is not going to be anywhere be a box office contender because it's a Netflix movie and the limited theaters that it can play in, it's
No,
NC-17. So it's
but
not going to
there's
play
no
well at the
bad
box
titles
office.
for you. There's like no bad articles like Blonde flops at the box office.
It's going to have no articles, which is even worse because then
Yeah.
nobody's talking about the movie. It just, would you say that a comparable nominee would be like Kristen Stewart and Spencer? That's the type of trajectory Ana de Armas is hoping to get.
I mean, yeah, I would say so, probably.
All
So
right,
I mean, I think Spencer will be more liked probably than this movie will be. And
that's my thing. And also, I think the fans of Kristen Stewart could even see the movie. I don't,
yeah,
and I do think that for the people who love Diana, I do think they ended up supporting Spencer. I don't think the fans of
I don't
Marilyn
know. The
Monroe,
BAFTAs didn't.
that not the BAFTAs. I don't the
I
BAFTAs.
mean, they're the
They will
Brits.
never touch a movie about Diana. The same way that they won't touch the
I
Meghan
mean,
Markle story
Diana could
coming
kind of be,
soon.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Diana could kind of be to them what Marilyn is to us, like an American icon and a British icon.
exactly.
And
But
she
that's
didn't get
but
in.
then she doesn't get in. I think that
Yeah.
the fans of Diana in this country supported Spencer. The fans of Marilyn, I don't think are going to support her in any. The BAFTAs might just because they seem to be a little bit more tonier as a
The
group.
BAFTAs are, yeah,
Um, but I
a
just
whole thing.
yeah, I don't. Sorry, I
No, I
love
don't
Ana
think it's
de
going to happen
Armas.
either.
I think she should have been nominated maybe for Knives Out. She should have been nominated maybe for Blade Runner 2049. She's delivered some truly brilliant groundbreaking performances. This is not happening.
No, I think it's possible, but I don't think it's happening currently. And then lastly, Venice, Banshees of Inisherin getting rave reviews. And then we'll talk about this in a second. Won two. It's very rare for a movie to win two of the awards at the Venice Film Festival, and this one did it. I think the last movie to do it was The Favorite, which ended up doing very well at the Oscars, winning Best Actress, and
That's it.
I think that's it. But it got a lot of
It
nominations.
led the nominations with 10 with
Maybe
Roma.
Colin Farrell's gonna win. But yeah, this is one of the movies that as all of these frontrunners are falling out, this is getting into picture now. I think it's strong, which also puts into question Empire of Light. Which one is Fox Searchlight going to push harder? Because
Yeah.
this is their stronger one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think they could run a dual campaign. I think that they're
They
very
could, yeah, they've gotten two
um
movies in before.
yeah, and Fox Searchlight has shown that it's possible, I think, in years past, haven't they?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure it's a
yeah,
studio. Yeah,
they're like
so
the kings of campaigning.
yeah, I think Colin Farrell, it's interesting because I think we're gonna see a lot of people. This is gonna be the inverse of last year, where last year we had the conversation about will there be any nominees that have never been nominated before, and there ended
There's
up
going to be a
didn't,
lot.
but with because Peter Dinklage missed out on Cyrano. But this year, I think we're going to see a lot of people who've never been nominated before. Brendan
Yeah.
Fraser, I believe, has never been nominated before. Colin Farrell has never been nominated before. And I think those are your front runners.
Austin Butler.
Austin Butler.
Another front runner, the number one.
God.
Your
faith in Austin Butler is my faith, and
faith
Elvis in general is my faith in Wakanda Forever. So
okay. Well, I have some faith in that,
but not
I don't think you have
not to the same
Elvis.
extreme. And I have some faith. I have some belief that Elvis could do it. I just don't have it winning anything in above the line category.
Kind of winning 2.
What's the second?
Makeup.
Oh, okay.
That's not above.
I thought you were gonna pull out like Picture. Tom Hanks and supporting actor. I was like, what?
No, that would not be a nomination. I would be rooting for personally.
Oh my god! But yeah, I think Banshees, Martin McDonagh, proven name. I think Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson could maybe get into supporting actor. Yeah, I think this is a big contender, and I would maybe consider putting it in for picture.
I would also throw out the person who I think got the most shout outs in all the reviews acting wise, Carrie Condon. Got a lot of shout outs as like the MVP of the movie. So I threw her into my supporting actress category now that the Sun actresses, I don't know if either of them are getting in there. So I think that's opening up spots.
But you would put this person in front of Stephanie Sue, you think?
Yeah, totally. I think I don't know if Stephanie Sue or Sadie Sink, either of them. Yeah. Well, I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis has ever.
But I wonder, I think the two of them are going to cancel each other out.
Yeah. I would have more faith in Sue just because I think Hong Chow is going to split votes with Sadie Sink for The Whale.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have Carrie Condon. I think this could perform very similarly to 3 Billboards, where 1 lead acting performance, 2 supporting performances nominated, screenplay, picture. I don't know if it'll win the same amounts. I think it could. I think Brendan Gleeson could win for supporting actor. He's kind of overdue.
I think after that image of Ki Hu Kwan reuniting with Dr. Jones at D23 and just lighting up the internet with so much warmth, I think he could run. He could run the Troy Kotzer campaign and take that home, and that could be where. Because let's say I think Cate Blanchett is very strong, and probably out of everybody, I would probably put her as my front runner. So if they want to give Everything Everywhere something, that could be what they give.
Yeah, I would still have him at number 1. Yeah.
I would probably at this point in time, I would go Brendan Fraser, Cate Blanchett, Ki Hu Kwan, and then Michelle Williams.
Yeah, Michelle Williams, Ki Hu Kwan, Austin Butler, and Cate Blanchett probably.
It's because he looks like you, right? It's like you.
I don't see it. People say that. You're not the only one who said that. I don't see it. Maybe like a C-list Austin Butler. But yeah, that's what I would have. So those are all the movies at Venice, I think, that we didn't get to talk about last time. And they gave out their awards at the end of the festival. 3rd year in a row that the Golden Lion has gone to a female director. This year, going to All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, a documentary winning best or Golden Lion, which is essentially their best picture. This movie also going to all the 4 major festivals. I think it's definitely our documentary frontrunner, which means it probably won't be.
Which means nothing.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, I'm happy for it. I think maybe we could continue the 3 women winning in a row at the Oscars as well with 1 Sarah Polley.
Sarah Polley.
Possible. But yeah, any thoughts on that winning Golden Lion?
Happy. I mean, I love when documentaries get a platform like that. They're a great way and a medium to tell films and tell cinematic stories. And so, nothing but well wishes to that wonderful individual.
Best director went to Luca Guadagnino for Bones and All, which I was very happy to see. This man has not been nominated for an Oscar somehow, and he's delivered some incredible films. So I'm happy he's getting some recognition. I do think Bones and All.
He's getting recognition in that Pixar is seemingly just making G-rated versions of his movies. And that
I'd like to see their G-rated Suspiria.
Yeah, we had Luca, and now they just recently announced at D23 a new movie called Elio, which was Chalamet's character's name.
It was. That's his name. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't wait. I can't wait for Oliver, which will be next.
To sue them. I don't know if they're.
It was Oliver, right?
Elio and Oliver. Yeah.
Elio and Oliver. Okay, good. I haven't seen that movie in some time for obvious reasons.
It's a good movie. I watched the Michael Stuhlbarg monologue at the end like once a week. So I'm happy for him. I think Bones Knowles being a little underrated. I do think. I don't know, actually. It's very genre, but I think maybe it could get into picture, into screenplay. Who knows? Best actor, as we mentioned, Colin Farrell won for Banshees of Inisherin, so definitely have him in your actor lineup, and I would definitely have him as a potential winner with the year he's having. I mean, possible.
Yeah.
As expected, Best Actress went to Kate Blanchett for Tar. Yeah, I just seems like a very very strong contender. Like probably many are saying her best work of her career. So happy for her.
Which is what you need
Um,
to win. People are saying
yeah,
it's her best work or best work in a long time. They're not saying about that about the Fabelmans. It's why I don't think it's as strong as people want it to be.
true. And also, I should mention for Best Actor, lots of people surprised that Brendan Fraser didn't win. I thought they were going to do what they did with The Master, where Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman both shared Best Actor. I thought they were going to do Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, but they just did Colin Farrell. But yeah, I didn't really think that they were going to go for Brendan Fraser personally, but I don't think that hurts his Oscar chances at all.
Yeah, his Oscar narrative is going to be one of very emotional,
Yeah.
while being a very well regarded work. That's what is going to make him win. It's going to be the press and like the junkets and doing the narrative play. And
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense. I also think that the Venice organization may look at, like, I think they look at films that they want to support, and they maybe felt that Brendan Fraser was covered, and let's give a support to Colin Farrell, who's just as deserving and has had just as long a career without a lot of awardship given to him.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to why like Joker wins the Golden Lion. It's all every award is
Yeah,
political, which some people like to get mad at. I think you just got to accept it that
it's part of it.
it's part of how they pick these awards. So it wasn't the biggest shock to me that he
No,
did.
no. Best screenplay, speaking of which, Banshees of Inisherin also won that. Martin McDonagh also won here for Three Billboards, so he's just racking them up here, I guess. So good for him. I think that's definitely getting into screenplay. Grand Jury Prize went to Saint Omer, and Special Jury Prize to No Bears, both of which I would like to see, but I don't know about their Oscar prospects. But yeah, any thoughts on any of those winners?
No, I know. Just congrats to the winners. And as we say every time awards are given out, the awards do not change the movies. The movies were just as the same as they were before these awards were given out as after.
Mm-hmm.
And just there's no such thing as a snub. It's just certain things you support and certain things you don't. And yeah, just looking forward to a whole rest of the season where we give out some
Yep.
awards, some
Yep.
hopefully deserving films.
Yes, that's all on the docket of Oscar news this evening. So yeah, lots of fun stuff happening. TIFF will continue. I'm not sure what other new. Oh, there's Greatest Beer on Ever, I guess. So we'll see how that's received. I guess that's Apple's biggest push. And then we'll see how the TIFF audience receives movies like Women Talking as well as
I've seen a lot of
Empire of Light.
support from the women talking TIFF crowd.
Yeah,
Uh,
they also seem to be responding well to The Whale, which is a good sign for that movie. I still don't think it's getting into picture, but I think it's a good sign for
we'll
Frasier.
see. We shall see. I mean, Black
We
Swan
shall.
got in, so
I did.
Aronofsky.
It's A24 though. They cannot get two movies into picture. I do not believe in them. I'm
Stranger
sorry,
things
A24.
happen. Stranger things have happened. If you got the
Yeah,
goods, you got the goods. I think the A24 not getting in past years or not getting more than one is more akin to they look for those offbeat type of movies. But if these are the offbeat type of, like Everything Everywhere on paper should not be an Oscar contender. It just blew up into this thing. And
yeah,
so if the Whale was going to be their nominee, and I don't think the Everything Everywhere means they're not going to. The only question is whether they can support two campaigns. But if people keep talking about these movies, especially given their actors, yeah, no, they can both get in.
possible. Right now, I don't see it, but yeah, it is possible. But yeah, that is all for this week in the Oscar talk sphere. We'll see you all next week for more Oscar talk. Anthony, where can they find you on the internet?
At Anthony_post on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterbox. And you can also find me here on YouTube at Spoilers Ahead with Anthony Post. As you know, doing reviews for Barbarian, which is never going to
I
be an
need to
Oscar
see that.
contender, but
I've
it's
heard good
really
things.
great. If you loved Malignant, I think you are
I
going to
liked
love
Malignant.
Barbarian. It's the scariest movie I've seen since The Conjuring 2. So
Wow. Wow.
um, with a surprising amount to
saw the
say.
cats.
So, little preview for my review. I'm also reviewing Pinocchio, which I hope I wasn't. I wish I wasn't.
I will not be watching that.
That was my wish, is that I don't have to review, but alas, I
How
needed
does Zemeckis have fallen?
yes. The Walk was a recent good movie of his in 2015 with Joseph
Tom Hanks is
Gordon-Levitt.
having a good accent year as well with all his accents. His
Second
acting
movie this
coach
year where he plays a puppet master.
his accent coach is getting some work this year.
Oh, they just bought a new house.
Overdrive. Yeah, totally. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and we will see you all next week.
Bye everyone.